Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I'm going to play this video and pause intermittently here and there to talk about things that are going on, to better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go.
This briefing will provide information about an officer-involved shooting involving members of the New York City Police Department. You will see relevant video footage and other available evidence that will allow you to gain a better understanding of the events that led up to the incident and what occurred during the incident based on the facts that we know at this time. New York state law and NYPD policy give police or departments force and may change, typically analyze, see, custody.
2 minutes long. Oops, go back. All right, pause it real quick so you can see this. This was January 20th of 2022. Time of recording right now is June 23rd, 2022. So it's taken a few months for them to release this. I would suspect that the reason why it's taken this long for them to release this is there was obviously an investigation involved, and they completed that investigation, and also concurrent with that is a separate investigation being done by the court, the prosecuting attorney's office, what have you, and then them presenting facts and stuff, or potentially presenting facts and stuff to their grand jury, and then their grand jury deciding to pass a no true bill on it, just meaning, you know, hey, there's no evidence here to indicate or support that the officers did anything wrong. They're cleared. And then it comes to this, and they're like, all right, now we can release this information out to the public. It's been looked at. They've been cleared, not only by, well, most importantly, they've been cleared by potentially a grand jury. I don't know if this did go to the grand jury or not, but let's say, you know, it did. So, you know, potentially cleared by a grand jury, and then they completed their internal investigation, and then now all the facts are available to be released to public. Some places will do that process. Some places will release it a lot sooner than that. All right, going forward. Let me back that up real quick. I didn't. Whoops. So typically I'll pause it. So typically they don't always provide information about how the firearm was obtained, and I really wish that they would, or more agencies would, release information about how the firearms were obtained, because I think that's something important for the public to know. I kind of doubt that this person has legally obtained this pistol. Typically, people who legally obtain firearms aren't the type of people who go out and try to shoot police. Now, I'm not saying that's all legal people who bought firearms. I'm just saying, for the most part, overwhelming majority, people who are law-abiding citizens are legally able to go purchase guns. They're not the ones going out shooting police or doing stupid shit. It's the people who can't go legally buy guns who are ended up doing stupid shit and shooting at police. So if they can't go legally buy a gun from a gun store, where are they getting it? A lot of guns are stolen out of cars and homes when people leave them there unattended, and they leave to go to work, go shopping, go wherever, and they are nowhere around their gun. They've left their gun at home, in the nightstand, on top of the nightstand, inside the closet, on the top shelf of the closet, in a sock drawer, under a pillow, under the corner of the mattress, somewhere very easily findable. And the gun does not have a trigger lock on it and does not have a cable lock running through it, making it inoperable to an unauthorized person. Now, can those locks be defeated? Yes, but not immediately. It's not very easy to immediately disable them. They can be cut off. A cable lock can be cut off later on, or it can be brute force attacked. Same with a trigger lock. But that requires time. A safe is a better option to leave them in, but is a safe going to 100% keep people from getting into it? No. Safes can be broken into, but it takes time. And typically, a thief is not going to be staying in the house long enough to pull a heist on a safe and sit there with a stethoscope against the door of the safe and turning the combination on it. Like, it's not it's not a movie level heist going on with most criminals. They are smash and grab types. They fucking break in, they go in, they rummage through shit, and they leave. They want to get out of there as quick as possible because they don't want to be caught. So a safe in the home is the best thing to have to put your gun in. If you don't have a safe, you can't afford a big safe, whatever, then use the cable lock that came with the gun. When you leave the house, run the cable lock through the gun and hide it somewhere. Hide it somewhere that's not an easy place to look. Instead of the corner of the mattress, push it towards the center of the mattress. Slide it under the couch. Don't put it in the most commonly looked for areas. Hide it somewhere different. Cars, if you're leaving your gun in the center console that doesn't even have a lock on it, you're wrong. If you're leaving your gun in the glove box and it doesn't have a lock on it, you're wrong. If the glove box has a lock on it and you don't lock it, you're wrong. You can get car safes for the gun if you plan on leaving the gun in the car. Same thing with the house safe. Can it eventually be broken into? Yes, but not immediately. Criminals aren't going to sit there tinkering with it long enough because they don't want to run the risk of getting caught. They smash, grab, move. Smash, grab, move. That's how they operate. The best way to keep your gun from being stolen is to keep the fucking thing on you. It's a lot more difficult for someone to steal your gun when it is on you. Like I said, I don't know the circumstances of this gun, if it was stolen or not, but generally speaking, the stupid people who end up shooting at police and fighting police with guns are the type who can't go legally buy guns. So they mostly steal them, or they buy them from someone who has stolen them, or they go to some place and meet someone and do a private sale, and that person doesn't know that that person is a felon. And in some cases, the person may not even care, which, if they're doing it knowingly, then they are acting illegally as well. All right, moving on. So their body cameras are set to a longer buffer time than the standard 30 seconds. I think theirs goes 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds, but it's not the standard 30 seconds. It's a little bit longer. Some places will do that. Typically, for the most part, you can catch what you need to within a 30-second buffer, but some places like to do it for a little bit longer.
7. I need to.
What's his name? Oh. Give me another unit here, please. Joseph. Joestar?
Okay, immediately right off the bat, that's that's a bag of dicks right there. I don't like how he's holding the flashlight and the taser like that. That's bad decision right there. Also, not a big fan of how he has pulled a taser to go searching through a house. If he's the front, then he should be leading with lethal cover. If there's a second person there, they can have the taser. If you're at the front of that stack, you have lethal cover.
My man.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
So, what if this dude had come around with a pistol pointed at the officer? This officer's going to fire potentially a taser at him, or have to drop the taser and then transition to his gun. That's why I said, if you're going to be going in, clearing a building, you do it with lethal cover. You get your real gun out and leave the taser in its holster. This could have ended very badly. This officer could have been very easily shot and never had the ability to even return fire immediately.
Put your gun down. Put the gun down.
All right.
Put the gun
I
down.
don't want to do nothing.
Put the gun down.
No.
Put the gun down.
Wait. I just wanted to tell the police. I'm not gonna.
Stop.
I don't want to shoot myself.
Put the gun down. Put the gun
I
down.
want to shoot myself, please.
Put the gun down.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
please.
Gun down.
Yeah.
Put the gun down. Put the gun down.
All right, please don't shoot.
Put the gun down.
Please don't shoot.
Put the gun down.
Please don't shoot. Back up.
Put the gun down.
If you back up, get out of the house. Get out of the house and I will.
Put the gun down,
If you
sir.
get out of the house.
Sir, put the gun down.
Get out of the house, please. Please get out. Please get out and I'll put it down. Please.
Put the gun down,
Please
sir.
get out, please.
Okay.
Please get out and I will. Please get out. Please don't come. Please back up, please.
Put the-
Please.
Hold on.
Please.
Hold on, sir.
All right, please.
Put the
please.
gun down.
I don't want to blow
Put
it.
the gun down.
Back up.
Sir,
please.
put the gun down.
I made a mistake.
Put the
Just
gun
back
down.
up. Back up.
That's fine. Put the gun down. Put the gun down.
I'm not going to shoot. Just back up.
Put the gun down.
If you back up, please.
Put the gun down,
Please,
sir.
all right, talk to me, please.
Put the gun down.
Can you talk to me, please?
Put the gun down.
Can you talk to me, please?
I will talk to you, but put the gun down.
Officer.
Sir, you
Okay.
need to put the gun down first.
Officer, please. I I don't want to hurt myself.
Sir, put that gun down.
All right, but back up.
Put that gun down, please.
Don't come.
Oh, man. See, this is where the progressive liberals have gotten us to. They have got some officers so fucking scared of doing what they're supposed to be doing that they do dangerous shit like this. This is fucking unacceptable. This officer has deployed his taser. The style of taser he has is the X26P as in Papa. It has a one-shot cartridge on it. He's fired that cartridge. It was ineffective. He has not performed a reload. He does have a reload, it looks like, at the bottom of his battery here on the taser, but he has not performed a reload. Worse than that, and really the biggest screw-up of all, he's at the front of this and has never once gone to his lethal weapon yet. And even after the failure of the taser, he does not have a lethal weapon out. He is not covering himself with lethal cover. There's another officer with his gun out, but he's over here. He can't have line of sight to him at this point. He don't have a clear shot to this guy. This guy could very easily just point the gun at this officer and start shooting. And what's this officer going to do? Pull the trigger on the taser and send another cycle that's not going to do anything to the guy? This is a totally fucked up situation right here. Like, this is wrong. This dude needs to be he needs to be taken off the street and put through some remedial training and get him back in the fucking zone. Like, this is fucked up. Like, it kind of really fucking pisses me off to see this shit right here.
Put that gun down.
And I don't know much about their uniforms, but he's got some little mark right there on his arm. So that's, that could be some type of reference for time, like he's been there for some amount of time, and that could be like a rank thing. Like, I don't think this guy is a rookie. I don't think rookies put little marks on their uniform sleeves like that. So, like I said, that's either denoting some type of rank, and typically if you've got rank, you've been there for a while, or this is some type of years of service mark. Like, one sash means, 2-year service, 3-year service, 5-year service, something, Each area is a little bit different with how they do those little marks on the sleeves. So I don't know what this is, but either way, it's probably denoting the fact that he's been there for quite some time. And he's pulling this shit? Hell no. So
Put that gun down, sir.
He has had the bright idea to ditch the taser and go to lethal weapon. About fucking time. Welcome to the party, asshole.
I'll put it down.
Sir,
Don't come any closer.
put that gun down, sir.
Don't shoot me.
Put that gun down.
I
Oh
don't
my
Put
God.
that gun down, sir.
Fucking pointing it at him. The suspect's pointing the fucking gun at him, and he's not shooting. Urgh.
Don't shoot me.
Put that gun down.
Please.
Sir, put that gun down. Don't come out.
All right. Now, this is why I say that weapon-mounted lights are a necessity. They are a requirement for every gun, in my opinion. Just because you work daytime doesn't mean that you're not going to find yourself in an environment where there's an absence of sunlight. You may find yourself in an environment during the day where you need artificial light. A weapon-mounted light is the best kind of artificial light to be able to produce when you need to shoot your gun, because it allows you to keep both hands on the gun. Handguns are already at a disadvantage. You have less points of contact on that weapon. You only have 2 points of contact on that gun. your dominant hand that's holding it, and then your non-dominant hand that comes up and touches and covers the rest of the handle of the gun, and your thumb going up onto the forward part of the frame itself. That's it. 2 points of contact. You take one hand away to hold a flashlight in it, guess what? Now you've gone back down to 1 point of contact with that gun. You're neutering yourself by not using a weapon-mounted light. Now, this is New York, so they have a shit ton of cops on payroll. So that means they have a lot of expenses for each officer. So it may be difficult for them to afford weapon-mounted lights for every single officer, and to buy the weapon-mounted light holsters for every single officer. If that's the case, and they have it in their policy to allow the officers to add a weapon-mounted light, then those individual officers need to be taken upon themselves to be adding a weapon-mounted light to their guns. Now, if their policies say that they can't add anything to it and they got to use what's given to them, well, then they need to band together and demand better equipment. Or they need to talk to whoever's in charge of acquiring grants and see if they can't get some grant funding to purchase weapon-mounted lights and the holsters to go with them. Weapon-mounted lights are a necessity. They are a piece of life-saving equipment that should be on all guns.
47 Adam 2, I need backup immediately.
All right, back up.
Put the gun down! Put the gun down!
Please don't shoot, just talk to me. Just talk to me.
Sir, I will talk to you. Put the gun down.
If you move, I'm not gonna shoot you. Don't shoot me. Please.
Shots fired, shots fired, shots fired. Come on, out.
He jumped out the window, I think. He jumped out the window.
47 Adam 2. 47 Adam 2. Shots fired at this location, I need somebody at the rear of the building.
So this has been painful to watch. Get the fuck out of the doorway if you ain't got your gun out.
Huh? You see?
Let me see.
Alright, so doorways are usually referred to as fatal funnels. And this guy's standing right here in front of it, fully exposed, and he doesn't even have his gun out. And there's a person who was in there that has a gun. Now, this other officer says, he jumped out the window. They may have a pretty good guess that he did, but they don't have visual verification that he did. That dude could still be in there. That dude could come around that corner and fucking smoke check this officer, and he don't have his gun out. He can't do shit about it. So he doesn't need to be standing in front of this doorway here without his gun. Like, he needs to move off of the side, get out of that fatal funnel there, and find a better spot to stand.
Okay. Item 2 is male black, wearing all black, sweatpants. Sir, I believe he jumped to the back of the window. I can't clear the apartment yet. Huh?
The girls are here.
Okay.
Hey, you see it?
Get out there.
Get out.
So he has an auto-loading pistol, and where he has his hand at is directly behind the slide. So if he has to fucking shoot, guess what's happening? That slide is probably going to be hitting this arm that is right there behind it, and then he's going to get a failure to extract. So he's going to have a malfunction. And then the next time he goes to pull the trigger, nothing's going to happen. So he has very poor technique with his low-light tactics here. You don't want to have that support arm over top of your gun arm and blocking the slide. You put it under it.
You might have jumped out the back.
We had 2 shots.
Did you make entry here? Huh? Did you make entry?
In there, yeah.
So what? He might have jumped. There was 2 shots, and he might have jumped out the back of the building.
Go.
You didn't make entry? I made an entry, and then he had a gun to his head. And he came back.
There you go.
7XL.
He's going to the park. So he's not here. Yeah, he's in the park. He's not here.
We need to clear the apartment though.
I know, right?
I'm with you. Don't worry about it, man. Hold on.
Shots fired. So he stopped shooting. He did.
So it looks like dust or something, or debris falling in front of the camera, possibly from where he is coming out the window. Yeah. Too bad he didn't fall and break his neck. Oh, he did hurt himself. Looks like he got some blood. That's one dirty fucking alleyway. I bet it stinks back there. So I don't know why this is still up. He must be coming back. No, there he is. He's going up the top there. Yeah, too bad he didn't fall back down off of that. He's got his foot stuck. He fell down over there. This dude's clumsy. It's interesting wording. Secreted himself. All right, let's pause this. So Ramos discharges 5 rounds, Garza discharges 4, and Curzillo discharges 1. But they only say several times about his body. They don't list specifically how many times he has been shot. So, unfortunately, during a lot of deadly force encounters, there are missed rounds. Although firearms training, it is the typical mantra of every round you fire, you are accounted for, or you are accountable for. Every round that you send out has your name on it. So you strive to make sure that you don't miss, but sometimes it happens, and it's not a dismissing kind of thing like, oh hey, it happens, oh well. To understand why it happens, you need to know about firearms training. You have to have gone through it before. Officers will go through the academy after they get hired, and during the academy is usually when they get some of the best firearms training they'll probably ever have in most of their life. It varies from state to state, and it can be a week-long type of course. It could be a 2-week-long kind of course. It could be a several day, or within less than a week, a few days long. It can be, as much as firing about 1,000 rounds for a pistol and firing about 1,000 rounds for a rifle. It could be lower than that. It could be more than that. Like I said, each state is different. And so the length of time that they spend on training, the amount of rounds they fire, it varies. But generally speaking, at the academy, that's when they get a decent amount of time and they get to fire a decent amount of rounds. And that is probably the only time that they'll get really good firearms training. After they leave the academy and they go back to their agency will, at a bare minimum, do a firearms qualification once a year. A lot of people incorrectly label that as training. It is not training. Qualification just means that you go out, you shoot your gun from various distances, either mixed up with some of that being all two-handed, some of it being one-handed, some of it being support hand only. And then there may be a requirement to do a couple of reloads during that. You may be required to shoot from a kneeling position and a standing position, and then it's not timed or anything, it's just scored. And then that's it. That's just saying, hey, we came up with a standard, and to say someone's qualified, they have to go shoot from the 3, the 7, the 15, and the 25-yard line, and they got to fire 100 rounds. And if they make a passing score on this target, then they're qualified to carry that gun. That's it. There's really no training involved in it for the most part. Some agencies will do this a couple times a year. Some go above and beyond and do it once a quarter, so they'll do it 4 times out of the year. There is in-service training that a lot of officers have to go through. So after they go through the academy, they have to do so many hours a year within different categories of curriculum, and they may get some in-service training with firearms, and it may be a recap on some of the stuff they learned at the academy, but it will not be done at the same intensity or same level that they did it at the academy. If they did 2 weeks of firearms at the academy, they are not doing 2 weeks of firearms training at their agency. the administrators just cannot allow for that to happen. They can't take those people out of rotation for 2 weeks and have them on nothing but firearms training. And they just can't afford it. They can't afford that much ammo for each officer if, the state has them fire 1,000 rounds for each gun that they train on. If you have a department with 100 officers, you can't take each officer and have them fire 1,000 rounds every year. That's it would be nice. Hell yeah, don't get me wrong. That would be great to be able to strive for. I would fucking love it. But realistically, it just can't happen. The budget's just not there. And then for some of these agencies where the woke liberal left has tried to defund them and has succeeded in some ways, what little budget they did have has now been slashed, and they really don't have a budget for that. So the in-service training they get will not be at the same level and intensity that they got from the academy. And that will be like for the rest of their career. Now, some of them, if they move up and they go to a specialized team like SWAT, CRT, SRT, whatever they call it, then they can go to a specialized school for that and get some additional firearms training. Other than that, most officers are not going to pay out of pocket to go train on their own with another commercial firearms company. They may go practice on their own, go to the range and just redo what they learned at the academy, keep some of their skills up, but most of them are not going to go to a training school and take a firearms class. A lot of officers think, oh, I've been to the police academy, I'm fucking squared away. Or, I've been to the police academy, I'm like fucking Delta Force. So they have this false idea that what was taught to them at the academy is the cream of the crop. There are some who will go out and seek out firearms training from commercial companies, big name companies. And they will pay for that out of pocket. Some can get lucky and have their agency pay for it, or pay a little bit, like maybe cover the cost of lodging or something while they're at this training. Some just simply won't do it because it's not a like a law enforcement council certified course, or the person teaching it isn't some law enforcement council certified instructor, and so the officer can't get any official training hours for it. And some administrators think, well, if you can't get official training hours for it and it doesn't count towards your in-service training, well, we ain't fucking paying for it. So some of them have that mindset. Not all cops are gun people. They're really not. There's a shit ton of cops out there who have never shot a gun before, and the only time they ever shot a gun was when they became the police. There are shit ton of cops out there who the only gun that they currently possess is the one their employer gave to them. They don't have any other guns. They don't really care for guns. And there's some officers out there who probably, if they were given the choice, they probably wouldn't even carry the gun that was given to them. I know that's a crazy fucking thought. Like, what do you mean there's some cops out there who wouldn't even carry a gun? No, yeah. There's some of them who would be like that. They just wouldn't carry the gun with them. Yeah. You think I'm making shit up, but I'm not. So, with that being said, the training that most officers get, it starts off good, but then over time, it's a little bit stagnant. It doesn't ever go back to that first time where they got the good stuff. And so over time, if you don't practice stuff, if you don't retrain on things, you lose your skills. It's like a blade that gets dull. You can still do the stuff, but it's not as very sharp. We call those perishable skills. So if you've ever learned how to tie special knots, like a figure 8 knot, an alpine butterfly knot, a figure 8 directional, whatever. If you learn how to tie those, but you have not practiced it and you don't do it on the regular, you'll forget how to tie those knots. A better, probably more applicable example would be a tie, like a shirt tie. If you don't tie a shirt tie on a regular basis, you're going to forget how you do the tying of that knot. And you'll have to look at a quick YouTube video to refresh your memory and try it a couple times, and then get that aha moment, and then get the tie tied. It's a perishable skill. So that is a bit of an explanation into why misses occur. Now, that's just from the fundamentals of firearms training, and that should not be the end-all, be-all of firearms training for tactical purposes, for police purposes. On top of doing range work, you should also be doing reality-based training scenarios with marking cartridges. You learn the fundamentals on the range, and then you validate that stuff with marking cartridges. Putting on the protective gear, putting on the mask, loading up the simunition guns, and going into the shoot house and having a gun battle with other people. That validates the stuff that you've learned, and you build upon your training in that. You inoculate yourself to some stress. You really learn the importance of cover and concealment. You know, if you're leaning out behind your cover too much, or you go approach a wall and you start to try and pie it, but your knee is sticking far out and someone shoots you in the fucking knee with a simunition round, you learn real quick, don't put your fucking knee out there first. So there's stuff that you learn on the range that is good, but you can't learn some of the other stuff without the reality-based training. Now, the reality-based training stuff with the marking cartridges, some academies will have some variation of that officers go through. And again, with the normal firearms training, this stuff also varies. They may spend 2 days doing simunitions. They may only fire 50 rounds, or each officer may get to fire about 200 rounds of simunitions. They may get to go through each officer may get to go through 5 to 10 scenarios in some places, and in other places they may get to go through 20 to 50 different scenarios. It all varies all across the state, and it depends on budgets. When they get back to their agency, some agencies can't afford that stuff. They can't afford the simunition guns. The simunition guns cost as much as the real gun. The ammo costs about if you can get it used, it can be about as much as regular ammo, but it can be more than real ammo. So it's kind of cost prohibitive for a lot of people who don't have big budgets. And it's not done on a regular basis. So those things factor in to why there are misses during gunfights. It's not to say, hey, this is acceptable, but it's just an explanation into how it happens. It's making a kind of cool sound. All right, so the first officer, they skip through that whole 60 seconds of extra shit. Now, this right here, so this happens a lot in wintertime with body cameras. Wintertime, people wear jackets, right? Well, if you got your body camera affixed to your uniform and then you throw your jacket on, this is typically what ends up happening. You have your jacket obscuring some of your body camera's vision. Uniform manufacturers need to do better with making jackets that are more body camera friendly. That way officers can choose to put their jacket on and then just mount their camera to the outside of that jacket when they're out. Or design the zippers on the jacket in a way that is a double zipper. That way an officer could, so long as they have their body camera midline on their body going down the the buttons of the uniform, have it midline right there. If they have it right there and these jackets have a 2-zipper system, they could start the zipper at the bottom of the jacket and start the zipper at the top of the jacket and then run them together to meet in the middle where the body camera is at, and then just tuck the unzippered part in behind the body of the camera. Then the body camera itself will be kind of protruding out from the jacket and would be unobstructed. So with my jacket that I have, I ran into this problem. So what I started doing was I would zip the bottom of my jacket and I would zip it all the way up to the point where my body camera's at, and I would lift the bottom of the body camera away from my body and zip the zipper up so that when I let go of the body camera, the zipper was positioned behind the body camera itself. So I had it zipped up as far as I could get it. Now, that ended up leaving the top portion of my torso unzipped, but that's okay for me because that allows some better venting of heat. And really the only reason why I'm wearing the jacket is to keep my fucking arms warm. Like the vest can kind of keep you warm during the winter. Depends on how long you're staying out and what the temperatures are. Sometimes you really do need that jacket on for more than just your arms. Now, if it's just my arms, why don't I wear a long sleeve shirt? Well, I don't really care for long sleeve shirts. Never have. The jacket, like I said, would be zipped up to the point of the body camera, but that was okay with me because that allowed the top portion of my body to be able to vent, and I could just, very easily tug on the vest and let some heat escape out the top, or it could come escaping a little bit more around the armpit areas. I just, flap the top of the jacket or whatever. So that works. Now, I've gone to, for winter times, using a tactical combat shirt, and the tactical combat shirt has regular sleeves on it with the regular uniform kind of material, but the torso portion of the shirt doesn't, and it is a thinner material so that it doesn't retain a lot of heat, which during the summer months, your typical combat shirts, that's how they operate. You got the normal uniform material on the sleeves, and then the inner part where the torso is like a really, really thin like a spandex, polyester kind of material. Moisture wicking, it's lots of good breathability. That way you're just not smothering yourself with regular uniform top with vest on top of it. So this is the same kind of concept, but it's a winterized combat shirt. And the regular uniform material for the sleeves has the same kind of like polyurethane, is it not polyurethane, polypropylene kind of waffle material that you would get with like your normal polypro cold winter underwear stuff. So like the little polypro pants that look like waffles in the top. It's kind of like that. So it's uniform material and that for the sleeves, and then for the core, for the torso itself, it's just a thinner polypro waffle kind of design. And I like that. I've found that has actually pretty damn good for my needs. It can keep me warm. I never did had to put a jacket on over top of it this last winter, but it's also dependent on me paying attention to the weather and properly layering, so I can add additional layers under that if it's going to be a really cold night, and I'll be good. But if I fail to put on proper amount of layers, then I may be getting a little bit colder than what I want. So it does require having more attention to detail to the weather forecast. And if I need to, if it wacky weather changes, here it's Kentucky, shit changes really quick. If it ends up being something really wacky and it just drops temps, super fast, or it just gets warm, whatever, and I didn't account for that, then all I gotta do is go do some uniform maintenance, take a layer off or add a layer, and then be good. But for the most part, just paying attention to the weather forecast and layering accordingly under that uniform shirt, combat uniform shirt, winter combat uniform shirt, will allow me to stay as warm as I need and not have to actually take an actual jacket and wear it. So I did that last year and I kind of liked it. So when it comes to wintertime this year, I'm going to be doing the same thing again. But as far as like normal uniform shirts, just long sleeve kind of stuff, I've never really cared for that. Just typically just not have always been a long sleeve person. But that combat tactical winter shirt kind of goes against my feelings for long sleeve stuff. But yeah, so this is a problem for body cameras when it comes to winter time. Sometimes these jackets just end up obstructing the view and you don't see shit. So one thing that I've noticed with New York, and they're kind of similar to California, is they do not believe in shoulder mics for their portable radios. It's like they just either don't believe in them or they just don't buy them because they cost too much to buy them for all the radios. But they don't use that. Oh my God, I hate seeing that. Let's pause this if I can. What the fuck? All right, so like I said, the shoulder mics, they don't believe in using it. I, in my personal opinion, believe that shoulder mics are a necessary piece of life safety equipment for portable radios used by public safety, especially law enforcement. It is a fucking necessity, in my opinion. It makes no sense to reach down to your belt, unsecure your radio, take it out, bring it up, talk into it, and then put it back down into its little holder and secure it. That's too many movements, and if something happens like that, and you got a radio in your hand, but you need to start shooting, what are you going to do? Are you going to take the time to put that radio back down in its pouch? Or are you going to drop the damn thing and get your gun? Or are you going to try to hold them both at the same time? It just makes more sense to be able to reach up, click the remote mic for your portable, talk into it, and let go. And then that remote mic stays there. Some people say, well, those things end up falling off during a fight, blah, blah, blah. Yes, they can. There's also a workaround for that. There's a product made by a company called Mic Loop. You can get that, and that's a pretty good solution. You could also get creative and buy your own paracord or buy your own shot cord and make something similar to it to keep that thing in place if the clip gets knocked off. And don't use hair ties. Hair ties break too easily. Now, what do we see here? We see a radio antenna bent and held in place, being bent by what looks like fucking zip ties. So this is like one of my pet peeves. I do not like seeing this. If you want a shorter antenna, guess what? Motorola makes a shorter antenna. It's a little stubby antenna. That antenna is not supposed to be bent like that. It degrades its ability to properly broadcast. That's damaging equipment. If I was an administrator for that agency, a supervisor, I'd be writing people up for that. Because that's breaking shit right there. That flexes the antenna, keeps it like that, and degrades it. Motorola products are not cheap. Seen too many times antennas just being cracked from normal wear and tear. Bending back and forth, that rubber eventually kind of dry rots a little bit, and then it kind of cracks and comes loose. And then to have someone intentionally bend it like that and put it through that kind of stressor, no, hell no. If you want a shorter antenna, see if Supply has a shorter antenna to be able to use, or get on the fucking Motorola website and order you a little short stubby antenna to be able to put onto your radio. That way you don't have to worry about the little antenna stabbing into your armpit or whatever your complaint or grievance is about that antenna. Now, when the antennas used to be more rigid, yeah, those were uncomfortable as shit. But antennas now are more flexible and bend a lot better. It should not be that much of an inconvenience. Moving on. I don't think New York police cars have mobile radios in the vehicles. Like, I don't think I've ever seen them talk on a mobile radio before. It's like they all have portables.
Yo, get on the ground! Get on the fucking ground! Get on the fucking ground!
And it looks like he has pulled his taser out.
Drop it! Drop it! Drop it! Drop it! Drop it! Drop it! Drop the gun! 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 Drop it! Drop the gun! 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 Drop it! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Yo, I'm going in. Yes. Put your hand up. That's it. Yo, cover me. Cover me. Come on. You got him? I got him. You got him? I got him. Let me see your fucking hands. I got him. Hands up. Put that hand up. Put it up. I got him. Yo, I'm a holster. Hand up.
So we didn't really get to see a whole lot with that, but it did look like they kind of ended up falling down the embankment some and going into the water. And it being January, whew, I bet that's cold. I've also noticed in some of these videos that like these New York cops roll like 3 or 4 deep in a car. So I don't know if that means like there's some kind of like special patrol vehicle so they can, you know, come in with 4 deep, or if that's kind of a standard, not a standard thing, but that's a kind of a common thing up there to be able to have a 3-4 man car. If you happen to know like that setup and know more about that, I would really like to know. So kind of leave a comment and explain how the 4-man patrol stuff works, or 3-man.
Yo! Leave me! Drop it!
Sounds like something like on a music track.
Drop it! Drop the gun! Put your hands up! I'm going in. Put your other hand up. Guys. Put your hand up. Push your hands up. No. Holster up. Guys, holster up. Holster up. You got him? Show your hand. Show your hand.
Oh. All right, let's back that up. So divert your attention to over here to these officers coming down here.
Show your hand. Show your hand.
I hate it when that happens. I've done that a couple times.
Lift your hands! Holster! Yo, holster! Sarge, watch out! Get back! Watch the crossfire! Yo, he doesn't have it! Hurry up!
Riding in the back. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of riding in the back where the miscreants have been. And he has a mask on. Ugh. Alright, let's skip forward. There we go.
You have to keep the car you Drop the gun! Drop the fucking gun! Drop the fucking gun! Drop the gun! Drop the fucking gun! Shots fired! Shots fired!
Okay. So this.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
So this officer fires. But oh my God, there's 2 officers forward of him. Some people would lose their fucking mind over this if you try to do this on a shooting range. No, we can't do that. We're going to have everybody on a straight line. No, we can't break the 180 rule. No, we can't. Everyone's going to be on the straight imaginary line. If you go 1 foot back, you're disqualified. You can't shoot no more. Blah, 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 blah. Like, this is fucking stupid. Good firearms training should replicate stuff like this. You should have officers forward of other officers or rearward of other officers and everyone be shooting. So long as the cardinal rules are not being violated, then guess what? No one's going to get shot. And there's training value to be had when doing this. The officers get to experience what it's like to have someone to the side and rear of them shooting. Like, it's a different feeling when you feel that concussion off that gun behind you. Like, you feel the fucking heat and the force. It's like the concussion of it. You feel that. You feel the heat, and it's like the gases blowing past you. Like, you feel the warm air pushing against you. And then, depending on, distancing and stuff like that, you can hear the round go by you. Like, you can hear that thing go. So there is value in doing training like this. It's best to experience those things on the training range than to experience them for the first time ever in the streets. Because if that's the first time you've ever felt the fucking hot gases from a gun blowing towards you, it's going to freak you out. It's kind of an unnerving feeling in a way. Like, especially the first time you experience it, you're like, oh shit. But it's much better if you have that, oh shit, reaction on the range during training and become inoculated to it. There was a video, I cannot remember the agency, but it was daytime. It was at an apartment complex, and like this crazy dude, there's a black guy, and he had like all these like random like fucking crazy dude messages written all over his truck. He had killed people outside and set an apartment complex on fire. And officers get there and they're shooting. Well, one officer is taking cover behind a vehicle and he's kind of in a kneeling position. And then there's an officer a couple feet to his rear and to the side. Well, the one who's to the rear and side is shooting, and that one who is forward of him, you can tell like visibly, like he freaks the fuck out. Like he jerks, and because that's probably the first time he's ever felt someone shooting near him like that. You want to get those things worked out on the range. You don't want those things happening to you in the streets. So if you've got instructors who are so adamant about everyone staying on an imaginary line, you can't be 1 inch forward of anyone or 1 inch back, you don't have a real firearms instructor. You really don't. You just have a fucking qualifications administrator. That's all you got. You don't have a real instructor.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Drop the gun!
Drop the gun!
Drop the gun!
Drop the gun! Drop it! Drop the gun! Watch crossfire!
Crossfire!
Drop the fucking gun!
Put your
hands up!
Put your other hand up!
I'm going in!
Put your other hand up!
Guys!
Put your hand up! Put your left hand up!
Hold her up! Hold her up!
Put your other hand up! Put your hand up! Put your other
Show your hand! Show your hand! Show your hand! Lift your hand! That's it, guys! Holster! Holster! Yo, holster!
Sarge, watch out!
Get back! Get back! Get back! Watch the crossfire! Hand! Watch the crossfire!
Put your hand. Everybody in the back. Put your up. The boss.
In the coming weeks and months, the NYPD Force Investigation Division, in cooperation with the prosecutor having jurisdiction over this incident, will continue to investigate and analyze this incident as more interviews are conducted and forensic tests are completed. After the investigation is completed.
Okay, so that's about it for this video. Not really much else to talk about. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.